Hello there. Welcome to your program, Security Reports, where we get you informed, educated, enlightened, and most importantly, updated on security issues anywhere it is happening. I remain yours and only, Ernest Enuneku. Well, you might be surprised where we are right now. We are at the Stephen Keshi Stadium right here in Asaba, Delta State, where the Super Eagles have been having their friendlies of late. And just yesterday here, they defeated the Pharaoh of Egypt by 1-0. And I tell you, this defeat is coming after 20 something years of not being able to defeat the Pharaohs of Egypt. Well, kudos to the Super Eagles. Well, going on the program, we will be beginning today's program with the interview we had with the Assistant Inspector General of Police. I'm talking about AIG Lawal Shehu, the AIG of Zone 2, which covers Lagos State and Ogun State. We actually spoke with him on a number of issues, particularly the election that just concluded, and he actually told us how the state under his command fared, and some other issues were also discussed. He threw light into a lot of security issues and how the zone intends to actually curb these security issues.
Zone 2 Police Command houses two major states of importance in the country, talking about Lagos State and Ogun State Police Command. Lagos State because that is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, and Ogun State is gradually becoming the industrialized state of Nigeria. Sitting on top as the Assistant Inspector General of Police of this zone is a man that has been tested, tried, and proven to be a man of thoroughbred police officer who has seen it all and has achieved much as a police officer. Today, join us as we speak with the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Lawal Shehu, who, incidentally, this is an election period. The last election has just been, 2019 election has just been held, and you have been everywhere in the zone. Let's look at this election, both the presidential election and the governorship election. How would you judge the security arrangement and how it went out?
To start with, my name is Lawal Shehu, Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2, comprising Lagos and Ogun State. We held presidential elections on the 23rd of February 2019 and 9th of March 2019. We also had election into governorship and state assemblies. Before then, our zone in particular, we made adequate arrangements. We put strategies on the ground. We ensure that our men receive adequate training and briefing so that they will perform credibly and professionally. And as God has it, during the presidential election and both the governor elections, there was only commendation coming from members of public, and none of our policemen did anything that will cause any alarm. Moreover, the two commissioners of police in Lagos and Ogun State, they have tried very hard to ensure the successes of the processes, to ensure that the elections were not marred by box snatching, by rigging, by all sorts of kind of offenses relating to elections. To this effect, we did not record much or serious offenses in both elections. This is due to our preparedness before the two elections. Moreover, we sensitize our men and even members of public before these elections to ensure that the election is violence-free, because violence is no good to anyone. Violence is what everybody should run away from. Violence is something that hampered progress, development in any society. And the people who cooperated. You can see the election that was conducted just day before yesterday. We went around Lagos with a crew of pressmen. Anywhere you see in Lagos, the nook and crannies for Lagos was virtually free. There was no thugs around. Nobody was seen carrying any machete. Nobody was seen carrying any gun. Nobody misbehaved. Apart from these coppers that protested because of the allowances that they claim were not paid by the INEC, and which eventually was resolved, and election was conducted peacefully and successfully.
First of all, we have to say congratulations, because we were with you all around Lagos, and the previous election you were in all over Ogun State too. So you went around, we saw it ourselves, and we must say that at the end everything turned out well. Some people have said that there was improvement in terms of security arrangement from what happened during the presidential election to what we now have had in the governorship election. Would they agree there was improvement?
That was tremendous improvement considering other elections the previous years, and I will give this credit to our amiable Inspector General of Police, Abubakar Adamu Lafia, because of his humbleness and commitment and zeal in discharging his duties. He did not only brief the CPs and AIGs and other police officers before the elections, he also provided conditions and situations that we operated in order to achieve these successes. The Inspector General of Police directed all the commissioners of police and the AIGs and even the DIGs to ensure that our men behave very well, so that there will be no cry from any corner, especially when it comes to corruption, compromise. Our policemen were warned, and they heed to our warning, to avoid compromise, to avoid being corrupt, to avoid taking side, to avoid being partisan. And this certainly assisted the police and other security agencies in conducting these elections. Moreover, we, in particular in Lagos State, the deployment of the policemen was so super in the sense that all nook and crannies, the exits, the waterways were not left untouched. Everywhere the policemen were seen and the policemen were placed in order to ensure that security was provided.
I know that, sir, you are a veteran of so many elections, and you have superintended over many elections. This is just one of those ones. So even after election, in some previous election, there have been post-election violence. You and your men, are you ready to make sure that there is no post-election violence?
As you can see, I don't have to overemphasize it. The men are on ground. The men are battle ready. Our surveillance are outside. Our intelligence are also outside. And we have taken steps to ensure that no post-election violence. In fact, right from the beginning, you can see this. The election that was conducted on the 9th of March can attest to that, that is violence-free throughout the day. And up to now, there's nothing that you can say that's a sign of violence in Lagos. Lagos is peaceful. People are going about their lawful business without hindrance, without fear of intimidation. So the police, as far as I'm concerned, are ready to ensure that there is pre-violence aftermath of election.
So finally, because we know you are busy and here is still very late at night and you are still in the office making sure that everything works out fine. Apart from election, the people of the zone, after the election, they will continue with their life. I know that you have a new CP also here in the zone, also in the zone and in Lagos State, and the CP in Ogun is there. What are you promising the people of the zone after this election in terms of their security?
My call to the people of Lagos State and Ogun State is to have confidence in the police, to continue strategizing and partnering with the police. That police, community policing is imposed. We don't do it on our own. Police cannot do it on their own. The members of the public have to contribute. Everybody is a stakeholder when it comes to security. Everybody. And the only way we can achieve it is if there is synergy and cooperation and partnership with the members of the public. And I assure members of the public too, police on their own side, we are not going to let them down. Let everybody who has any information that you think will improve into the security of the Lagos and Ogun State come forward and give us information. And we assure them that the identity will not be revealed to anybody. Moreover, we are committed into training and retraining to ensure that all criminal activities within the state are checkmated. Prior to the elections, we have made so many arrests of criminals in the state and we have paraded them. The pressmen in Lagos in particular can attest to this. We have made so many arrests and that brought about peaceful atmosphere within the state. In fact, that what even assisted in the peaceful conduct of this election. Therefore, whether there is election or not, the police are committed to render services 24 hours. Ours is deliver service, and to ensure that the people of both Lagos State and Ogun State sleep with their 2 eyes closed, day and night.
Welcome back from that report. Obviously, Ogun State and Lagos State are actually in safe hands, and the AIG have made it clear that they are ready to ensure that citizens of this state are safe and secured. Well, moving ahead, still on the election matters, the Nigerian police force and the Nigerian military actually had a joint conference, basically to actually inform people on how it all went in the elections, that of the Presidential National Assembly and the one for the governorship and state houses of assembly. The Nigerian police actually did a lot, the Nigerian military did a lot, and though there were a little hitches, but these hitches needed to be addressed, the spokesperson of the Nigerian police force and the spokespersons also of the Nigerian military actually had a joint conference where they spoke on issues that have been hitting the polity concerning some, especially that of Rivers State, where some soldiers were allegedly said to have invaded the collation center. Some of these issues were addressed and a lot more too. Let's get you that press conference now.
There is no doubt that the Nigerian police is the lead security agency tasked with the provision of security at the polls, while the military is to support the police and other security agencies by providing security at the outer cordons, including checkpoints and flashpoints, when called upon as provided in Section 217 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. In the just concluded elections, military services were undoubtedly requested by the INEC. It is also pertinent to state that even before the actual elections, the armed forces of Nigeria have been engaged in a lifting and ferrying of electoral materials and other essential logistics to designated locations in the country as requested and directed by INEC. Some of these areas could not have been easily accessible without the assistance of the military. On the other hand, the police were massively deployed in providing security around the polling units, collation centers, and other inner corridors around the voting areas. We are, however, equally aware of some of the unfortunate security challenges witnessed during the elections, which have generated public outcry and condemnation. The alleged involvement of some security agents in some of these unfortunate incidents is of serious concern to the military and the police high commands. While we appreciate the fact that some of these issues may be as a result of the overzealousness of some personnel, it is instructive to note that some of these incidents were instances of impersonation by political thugs clad in military and police uniforms. It will be recalled that some time ago, a container load of military uniforms and accoutrements were impounded by the Nigerian Customs Service along Aba-Port Harcourt Road, while similar interception was also made at Kirikiri Lighter Terminal in Lagos. Also, prior to the elections, there were intelligence reports of some politicians clandestinely procuring uniforms of security agencies for political thugs for purposes of impersonating security personnel during the elections. This information was later corroborated with the arrest of several fake soldiers and fake policemen during the last elections. Some of the fake soldiers and fake policemen arrested could be seen as displayed on the screen. Similarly, in Imo State, the military in a joint operation with the police arrested over 100 suspected political thugs who are now with the police undergoing investigation. And as a matter of fact, most of them are already undergoing prosecutions in competent courts of law. It is imperative to note that not all these impostors were apprehended. Therefore, the Nigerian police, the military, and other security agencies are working assiduously to fish out these criminal elements and bring them to book. We therefore appeal to the general public to volunteer useful information to aid security agencies in this regard. We assure the general public that investigation is ongoing on security personnel who might have conducted themselves inappropriately during the last elections, and appropriate sanctions will be meted out to those found culpable. However, it may be too early and too premature to apportion blames and outrightly indict anyone or group before exhaustive investigations are concluded. Particularly, we want to single out the alleged encroachment of INEC Collation Center in Rivers State, reportedly by some soldiers. This is considerably a very serious matter and of great concern to both the military and the police high commands. Consequently, the military and the police high commands have ordered a thorough investigation into this incident and other isolated cases. Already, several of the video footages that are in circulation on social and online media platforms have been collated and compiled to assist in the ongoing investigations. It is also expedient to use this opportunity to address and allay fears from certain quarters that have criticized military deployment in some states of the Federation during the elections. It is noteworthy to recall here that the military had all along been deployed in some of these states due to ongoing internal security operations. Such operations include Operation Delta Safe in the Niger Delta, Operation Wellstroke in Benue, Taraba, and Nasarawa states, Operation Safe Haven in Plateau and some parts of southern Kaduna, and Operation Sharon Daji in Zamfara and Kebbi states, among several other ongoing operations. In those states prior to the elections, identified them as flashpoints for electoral violence, hence the need for extra and additional security deployment. Furthermore, to ensure transparency and accountability in the conduct of Nigerian Army or personnel deployed for election security duties during the 2009 elections, during the 2019 general elections, the Nigerian Army has set a 9-member investigative committee comprising of very senior military officers headed by Major General Tari Timiye Gagariga to investigate all allegations of misconduct against Nigerian Army personnel during the elections. The committee's terms of reference include thorough investigation of the reported activities, actions and inactions of personnel of Nigerian Army in all the states that contravene extant rules of engagement and code of conduct in internal security operations during the elections. It is also to investigate all reported infractions or violations against security agencies, particularly the Nigerian Army, have been erroneously portrayed. The two security agencies are working in synergy to guarantee peaceful and secure environment for all law-abiding Nigerians to exercise their civic rights of voting and also engage in other legitimate endeavors. We cannot end this briefing without commiserating with the relations, friends, and associates of some Nigerians, both military and those in security agencies, who regrettably lost their lives during the last elections, as no election is worth the life of any Nigerian, be it a security personnel or a citizen of the civil populace. We pray for the repose of the souls of these our beloved and dear citizens. Number of suspects were arrested. Just like in the first election, the presidential and the National Assembly elections, we also arrested a substantial number of violators of the electoral laws. And in the last gubernatorial and houses of assembly elections. Specifically, in our cost, we have a total of 796 suspects arrested in the last election. That is to say, 796 suspects arrested in the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly elections. If you add that to the initial 323 persons arrested during the presidential and National Assembly elections, it will give you a total of 1,119 persons arrested so far. It may also interest you to know that in the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly elections, the state that recorded the highest number of arrests is Akwa Ibom State with a total of 256, closely followed by Imo with a total of 117, and Kaduna with a total of 109. And I also need to quickly add here that these suspects in our custody also include suspects that were transferred to us from our brothers and sisters from the armed forces of Nigeria. It may also be imperative to mention here too that as investigation proceeds, this number may either shrink or increase as the case may be. Some of the suspects may eventually be released without charge or charges, while some of them may implicate or make statements that may require us arresting further suspects. So this number is not sacrosanct and they are not cast on an iron wall.
Nigeria and the Nigerian police. If we are at loggerheads, I want to be sitting with Frank to tell you that we are not at loggerheads. I want to be doing a joint press briefing with Frank. And for your information, what we're doing now is a replication of what our leadership of the armed forces and the police are doing at that strategic level. I think Nigeria is over and above any of us as security agents or agencies as the case may be. And I think that is the most important consideration in our relationship. Back in our home country, that we are accused of attempting to truncate democracy. It is a most unfortunate statement. We want to assure Nigerians using this platform to note that we have only one Nigeria. Members of the armed forces and Nigerian citizens. We don't have foreigners in our armed forces. It's part of our doctrine. The interest, first and foremost, of the leadership of the armed forces is to support the Nigerian police force to ensure that democracy, our democracy, is very well protected and defended. Our role as armed forces of Nigeria, one, is to defend this great country from external aggression. It's not in doubt. We have not shirked that responsibility. Our role is to protect this country and defend our territorial integrity. We haven't shirked that responsibility. Our role is to provide aid to duly constituted civil authority when called upon to do so. We have never acted arbitrarily. In these elections, we did not act arbitrarily. There is an existing security architecture, which of course comprises of the inner cordon, the second cordon, the inner cordon where you have the intelligence community, the second cordon where we have the mobile police force and those.
Welcome back to your program, Security Report. We believe this press conference have actually put to rest some of the outstanding issues people have concerning. Some people think the Nigerian Army and the police are loggerhead. Actually, these agencies are meant to complement each other. Now, let's also remind our viewers that election security is basically the duty of the Nigerian police force. The Nigerian Army are only playing a supportory role to support the Nigerian police in carrying out their duties. There is no fracas between the Nigerian police and the Nigerian Army. They are working together to ensure that our lives are safe and secured. Now, moving ahead, we must also say that the electionary periods are over. Let's face our daily activities. Nigeria, it is time to move ahead. Elections are over. Yes, we are still here at the Stephen Keshi Stadium. Like I said earlier, this is where the Super Eagles of Nigeria of late have been having their friendly matches. And one thing we must note is that the 3 matches they have had so far, they won the 3 of them. Probably we could say it has to do with the home advantage. I don't know, but I think this Stephen Keshi Stadium is actually good for them. And I also hope too that they might be having more friendly matches here since they keep winning matches in this particular stadium. Now, moving ahead, we will be bringing you the courtesy visits made by the commander of the United United States Army Africa. They paid a courtesy visit to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukusu Buratai, especially because there is a change of baton, and this new of commander decided to pay the General Buratai this courtesy visit because of the role Nigeria has to play when it comes to the safety of Africa. Nigeria is very paramount when it comes to Africa. We are playing a very key role, and this courtesy visit was actually to introduce himself to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukusu Buratai. The need for cooperation and partnership among agencies of governments tasked with protecting territorial integrity of nations cannot be overemphasized, especially as terrorism and insurgency has become a global threat to world peace. The new commander of United States Army African Southern European Task Force, Major General Rogers Cloutier and his team paid a courtesy visit on Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukusu Buratai, to formally inform him of his appointment as the new commander of United States Army African Command, and to seek further cooperation with the Nigerian Army in the area of training support, procurement, and logistics. General Rogers, during the visit, commended the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukusu Buratai, and the Nigerian Army for their efforts in curbing contemporary security challenges, especially the daredevil terrorist group Boko Haram.
A very, very kind introduction. Sir, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time and the time of your staff. As the new USARAF commander, it's my first time in Nigeria, and I'm honored that you guys have really rolled out the red carpet for me and my team. I did want to compliment you on your honor guard. It was incredible. The soldiers were well disciplined. They did a phenomenal job. So my congratulations to that team. What we really want to do is this is my first visit. No, adios, good to see you again. I met him when he was the MNJTF commander a while ago. And you guys are such important partners to us. This is one of my first visits as a new commander. And I want to get to know you. I know we have a lot going on together, so I'm just looking forward to having good discussions and figuring out how we can continue to strengthen our relationship for the long term and continuing to work together in the future. I'm pretty excited, sir. Thank you so much. And sir, you know, you guys have been great partners for us for many years, and you guys did a phenomenal job at the house. I wasn't here, but I heard all about it. And so, as we say in America, the pressure is on because you guys did such a magnificent job that you've set a very, very high standard for everyone else to follow. And sir, you know, we have a common enemy in the Northeast, and your military, your army has been leading the way in the fight against that enemy, and you've paid dearly in treasure and blood. And so we want to make sure that we are good partners with you as we continue moving forward in this endeavor. So I brought some of my key planners here with me. Hopefully we can have some good, fruitful discussions about some of the training opportunities, the way ahead, and some of the stuff that we're planning on doing in the future. And I look forward to finding areas where we can collaborate and we can work together. As we say, you know, the old proverb, it takes two hands to clap, right? And we want to be one of those hands.
Responding, General Buratai congratulated him on his well-deserved appointment and thanked the U.S. Army African Command for their assistance to the Nigerian Army, saying that the partnership between the two armies has helped to boost mutual efficiency and technical competence in the discharge of their constitutional responsibilities.
United States, especially the United States Army Africa, have been having very good relationships. A number of activities, training especially, and support to the Operation Lafayette Dode, our counter-insurgency operation in the Northeast, which will receive tremendous support from you. And we want to most sincerely thank the United States government and thank U.S. Army Africa for all this support. We still have more to to do together. Counter-terrorism is a global phenomenon which we must all join hands together to ensure we defeat these terrorists. The training of our units has been going on, and we appreciate continuous training of our special forces also in Makurdi. Right now we have a much bigger formation, much bigger command. But all the special forces in the army fall under recently established the Nigerian Army Special Forces Command, which is of a divisional status. We have the commander. They are right now engaged in the Operation Denchin Turkey, which is the multinational joint task force operation around the Lake Chad waters. Mobilization has commenced, and I think even the operational activities have commenced also. So this Special Forces Command is a new formation which will require a lot of support from our partners, which we would appreciate to have that support, which they are already given to the Special Forces Brigade. So now we have another higher formation which will require more training, more resources.
He further assured General Rogers and his team of the desire of the Nigerian Army to strengthen the existing agreement with the U.S. Africa Command, particularly in the area of training, logistics, and other defense-related matters, such as counter-terrorism and insurgency training. Welcome back. We must state here that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukusu Buratai, have stated categorically the Nigerian Army will ensure that the partnership it has with the United States Army Africa is actually cordial, and they will do everything to ensure that what they are enjoying remains and keeps running. Still on the program, like I said earlier, we are still here at the Stephen Keshi Stadium. Moving ahead on the program, Stellenbosch University and Security Watch Africa actually have this partnership that has been running for a period of time now, and we actually visited the university environment where we had interview with two notable professors. I'm talking about Professor Fasua and Professor Henry Fouché, and they actually discussed on a lot of issues that I believe will be interesting to our viewers, and we know that this partnership that is ongoing will actually help boost the military capacity and ensure that our military perform better, especially that of Nigeria and the entire West Africa.
With me here on my right is Professor Francois Frey. Professor Francois Frey is the coordinator of Security Institute for Leadership and Good Governance in Africa. It's a pleasure to have you here. Yes, on my right is a member of Security Watch Africa, I will call him, is Professor Henry Fouché. Professor Henry Fouché has been with Security Watch Africa, traveling all over Africa, delivering lectures and imparting knowledge to a lot of people. He was with Stellenbosch University until he just told me he's retired. He's now an elder statesman. He's now full with a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Gentlemen, let me start with you as the coordinator of SIGLA. What does SIGLA stands for?
SIGLA, the acronym means the Security Institute for Governance and Leadership in Africa. It's a research institute of Stellenbosch University that's affiliated with the Faculty of Military Science. The acting director of SIGLA is the Dean of the faculty. And SIGLA focuses on matters of leadership governance in Africa, and the governance part is focused on three domains: a landward side, a maritime side, and very recently we've become rather active in the field of cybersecurity. The execution of the activities of SIGLA runs according to a program, and this program incorporates the different domains where we look at the matters of governance in Africa, how leadership plays a role in order to promote good governance and to establish governance as a type of a preventative measure for the collapse of governance into violence, extremism, terrorism, by way of landward, maritime and cybersecurity aspects. So in a nutshell, that is what SIGLA stands for and what SIGLA envisages, and according to which its program of activities is structured. And this appears on the SIGLA page under the University of Stellenbosch, where you can have a look at the activity program of SIGLA that maps out the activities for 2019 in particular. Thanks.
Professor Henry, you are a member of the Board of Trustees of Security Watch Africa, so you've been advising and helping to stabilize some issues. But let's look at the relationship between Security Watch Africa and SIGLA. Why do you think that it's necessary to have this symbiotic arrangement between the West and the South?
I think we've got a lot to share. We need to share our experiences. We need to look at our strong and weak points. We need an African solution to our problems. And coming from my side, that Patrick mentioned, being previously in law enforcement, I think it's very important that we look at the resources that we have in law enforcement and that we concentrate on not only arresting people but prosecuting them and then the sentencing of those people. This is the best way in which to deal with crime in the maritime domain, because crime in the maritime domain has reached unprecedented proportions, particularly around the African continent, and this is where we need to cooperate. SIGLA has a maritime hub where research is being done on the problem in cooperation with other universities, and particularly with Security Watch Africa and your vast network in West Africa. And we are very privileged to be able to work through and with your network in looking at the problems that we have in Africa and finding African solutions.
You know, many a times we look at issues of leadership, and some feel that we must go to Europe or to America to source a solution. But here you are with the team in SIGLA trying to help to redefine proper African leadership and how it should be. I know that you're working on a number of programs. One of it is the border management and also the issue about the ACUNS program. Can you tell us a bit about these programs?
Right, in terms of the ACUNS program, this is a cooperation between the Secretariat or the Secretariat of the so-called Academic Council of the United Nations system that is bringing their annual meeting for the first time to Africa. It will be hosted by Stellenbosch University in Stellenbosch, South Africa. And the theme for this is about the United Nations and Africa, and in the promotion of the Sustainable Development Goals. And in this regard, the whole annual meeting, this whole big event, is structured around the United Nations and promoting the Sustainable Development Goals in Africa. And this setup revolves around bringing a greater Africa footprint to this particular annual meeting of this body, which in the recent past took place all over the world, but it never really grew a significant footprint from African participants. And in order to do that, the first step was to agree with Stellenbosch University to host the event. Secondly, to invite people to participate and to make a definite contribution by way of support to get people from Africa, academia, from the political side, as well as your non-governmental and societal organizations, to participate in this event either by doing a poster, doing an individual paper to read, or to participate by setting up a panel for discussion at these events that will run over the period of approximately 19 to 21 June in Stellenbosch. The second one on border management we're doing in cooperation with American partners, and this in particular has to do to build a program and participants by what is the greater global issues around border management, taper it down to border management in Africa, where we include the regional entities, our regional economic communities within the themes, and then finally to bring it down to South Africa around SADC in particular. And in this regard, we would be very glad to cooperate with Security Watch Africa first in participating in the event around the United Nations system in June, as well as to cooperate with Security Watch Africa in making possible participation from the regional communities in Africa in the border management program, as we discussed earlier this morning. In both these cases, the focus is to really turn the arguments and to turn the focus and to turn the profile of participants very much towards African countries and African institutions, and in that way to give a type of an expression on SIGLA that stands for better governance and better leadership in Africa in particular, and secondly to show and or to demonstrate that we can cooperate and put up knowledge products and outputs by SIGLA from Stellenbosch University, cooperating with partners from Africa and beyond in a type of an integrated mix towards the type of knowledge products and now knowledge outputs that are implementable by decision makers and other bodies related to Africa, Africa governments, non-governmentals and academia.
Thank you very much. Professor Henry, you have been in the police force, you have been in the system, you have handled a lot of cases, particularly talking about interdictions of the issue about the maritime domain and security. Tell us, how has it been, how has South Africa been able to handle its water system? Because when you talk about the Indian Ocean, you talk about the Gulf of Guinea, these areas are filled with pirates and a lot of criminal activities, but the Southern Africa area seems to be more secure. Can you tell us what is happening?
Well, first of all, one must look at the geographical factors. Piracy usually takes place where there's choke points, where there's a narrowing and vessels have to slow down, and in calm waters like Somalia. But if you look at the southern coast of Africa, it's called the Cape of Storms, where we're sitting here today. And it's not called the Cape of Storms for nothing, because it's very rough seas. And you can imagine it would be very difficult to operate a small speedboat, a small fast craft, to interdict a vessel sailing quite safely and that's reasonably solid in the rough seas. So we have that on our side. South Africa has been involved with piracy from the beginning in this respect that as soon as the Somali piracy broke out in 2005, and we monitored the situation closely, when in 2010 there was an attack in the Mozambique Channel off Mozambique, South Africa immediately put a team together and started with an MOU with Tanzania and Mozambique to patrol our territorial waters and beyond. And since 2011, the South Africa Navy has been patrolling the Mozambique Channel and has kept the pirates at bay from moving further south. And during that time, there's been no attacks within the waters that we're protecting in the Mozambique Channel. And there I have to again reiterate that we are fortunate in that we have that on our side. We need to cooperate and work together with other navies, as we have done in the case of Mozambique and Tanzania. And at times also on the west coast, the South African Navy has gone up the west coast, cooperating with Angola, and we need to spread this out further. There is cooperation between the navies on a different level, where the heads of navies come together, and this is something that must be continued, and we need to share our experiences. South Africa has a strong legal system. As to date, we haven't done any prosecutions on piracy yet, because it hasn't come to that level in our waters, for which we're grateful. But we need to concentrate on maritime crime in general, fisheries crime, and other crimes that take place in the maritime domain. And this is where South Africa is training personnel through our universities, the University of Port Elizabeth, Nelson Mandela University, has a special unit that deals with fishery crime and trains inspectors to do the necessary prosecutions. And there again, our thrust has always been on prosecution. We have assisted in the past Interpol with the interdiction of a tanker that had been held for 58 days in Haradere. She was a 300,000 ton vessel, and South Africa launched a forensic investigation in 2011, which was the first of its kind on that scale. And following that, the University of South Africa created a program where the Hawks, who are responsible for the prosecutions, was taken and trained particularly in dealing with crime in the maritime domain, because here we are dealing with a situation where you have a different environment to that you have on the land. You have a different terminology, you have different factors that have to be taken into account during forensic investigations. Your equipment doesn't work, that works on the high veld might not work at sea level. So these are things that one needs to take into account, and to date, as I say, that has been our contribution.
Prof, still talking about this program on the border management and also the issue of the ACONS program. Let's look at the issue of the ACONS. Why do you think it's necessary? We understand that there is more attention given to the issue of female participation, getting involved. Why?
The first part of that has to do with the kinds of partnerships that we build at SIGLA, and that we use the partnerships to tap into networks. And our research fellows that form part of our networks, they bring these events as opportunities to SIGLA amongst others. We must remember that in terms of the ACONS event and the SDGs, that the SDGs are under the banner of the United Nations, and just about every country in the world in some way associates with or pledged their support for the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. In this regard, we don't only talk about African countries, but we also talk about the African Union in particular, with its own programs around Agenda 2063, about the Aims 2050. And in our case, Stellenbosch University ascribes to the SDGs, and we could therefore, in a very logical way, tie this network, ACONS, the SDGs and the United Nations in Africa, into a logical type of relationship, and come up with a partnership and take this partnership towards an executional program at Stellenbosch University, where the 3 days of the program is built around activities, and each of the activities give expression to support, to elaborate, to explain, and to utilize one or more of the SDGs of the United Nations. And it is not as if it's lone standing, but it is a program supported by the Stellenbosch University, it's supported by South Africa, it's supported by the Africa Union, and in this way to tie into an overarching UN agenda in support of Africa.
Yes, welcome back. We must say kudos to Security Watch Africa and Stellenbosch University on this partnership that we believe will boost the performance of the Nigerian military and even the military's formations in West Africa. Now, moving on, we must leave for other programs to continue. But like we always tell you, your safety is our concern. We believe that security is everybody's business. You must ensure that you watch your back. You must ensure your doors are locked at night. You must ensure you observe every security tips that we'll be bringing to you on this program. Now, like I said earlier, the elections are over. Nigeria must move ahead as a nation. Well, we must run along now for other programs to continue. I remain yours and only Ernest Enuneku. Bye-bye.